What's going on, you guys? It's your boy Cozy coming at you with another epic One Piece battle. Here we have the mirror match between myself and my good best friend in the whole world, Kono, in this One Piece community. We are both going to be on this Gecko Moria, trying to navigate the ever-changing waters of a mirror match in this case. So if you guys enjoy this type of content where we have the live gameplays followed by the analysis slash kind of mind process and commentary, don't be afraid to like this video, subscribe to the channel, ring that notification bell, and let me know you guys are enjoying this type of content. A huge shout out to the People's Card Shop for letting us record and have an epic battle right in their storefront. They do host a locals on Sunday, Tuesday, and Friday of every single week. They are a huge tournament store for other events such as Yu-Gi-Oh!, Pokemon, Lorcana, and of course we have One Piece. So I'm going to put their information in the description of this video. And so check them out. I highly encourage it. So we're just getting our mulligans out of the way. I ended up keeping my original hand. Of course, Kono had to send his on back to the yard. And we are going to get ourselves started here. More importantly, the mirror match itself is a little bit more complex when it comes to what we need to focus on in terms of leader skills, board presence, what's in each other's trash, and everything like that. Kono's going to do a traditional yellow player move and play one Dawn and pass to the opponent. We're starting our turn off here with a huge Sindri turn 1 play, hitting Helmeppo, Borsalino, Hogback, Lucci, and another Borsalino. So we do have some options here to play with, but we're coming right on back with another Sindri to dig even further in. We're going to hit our third copy of Sindri, a Perona, Ice Age, Absalom, and another Helmeppo. So the Gecko Moria play is going to be live on Dawns 8 through 10 to make sure that we can get our combo off with Helmeppo Lucci, Helmeppo Absalom, but more importantly, we have the early game presence here as well with the Perona, where we can start playing around with the hand. Kono is starting off with a 6k to leader, using that leader skill, which is going to be to trash 1 card in the hand, trash 2 from the top of the deck, and then play a Thriller Bark with 4 or less. He's going to go ahead and grab the Absalom to send Perona and the Rob Lucci back to KO our Victoria Sindri before moving on to the end step of his turn. Us chilling at 4 Dawn. We do have quite a few available plays open, but we're just going to do the Unga Boonga strategy. Swing 7 into leader. Using that leader skill, we're going to trash a Hogback, a Suru, and a Gecko Moria to grab ourselves that Perona, it looks like. Yes, it is. He is going to discard the Gecko Moria from hand from the Perona effect and take that first life. Cozy drawing first blood. This is absolutely insane. And we're just going to pass the turn back to Kono here. On 5 Dawn, Gecko still does have a lot of plays available to him. He can still use leader skill, and probably brand new would be the most optimal line here that he could probably use. He's going to start with just a poke of the bear, 5k to leader, see what we do. We're going to end up taking it, and it looks like no trigger. Interesting and beautiful. Calls on the brand new play. He is going to grab that Tashigi for the 2k counter, trashing the brand new and a Hot Patch into the trash. Hot Patch is going to be one of those spicy picks that replaces Great Eruption once OP07 comes out for the States. And so far, I'm a little on the fence about it, but you know, Kono is an absolute advocate of it, using that leader skill to trash a Gecko and an Ice Age. We lose a Suru to the Perona, and we are going to counter out as well. Moving to our 6 Dawn turn as Gecko Moria. This is kind of the strategy where you want to start kind of planning your Gecko turns. For us, it's going to be an easy play. We're going to use 3 of that Dawn at least to swing with Gecko Moria. And then we are going to get the Hog back, get the Gecko back to hand, and put whatever we want back after that. But the planning of this turn is going to be critical as we go into the later stages of the game, because without these steps, our hand in our yard basically means nothing or trash. So now we kind of have to do the math of like, what can we use? I know we're going to use at least 3 Dawn here, so we have to do the math. That's going to leave us 3 Dawn still to use for any other utility plays to swing with the Perona and kind of go from there. What it looks like is the thought process we're going through. But we're going to go 7 into the Absalom using that leader skill to trash what looks like a Hogback for Suru and a Kuzan. But we already know what the line's got to be so we can prep for Gecko. We're going to grab the Hogback to get the Gecko. We're going to put an Ice Age. And what are we putting back with it? We're going to put the Kuzan back. So the order I would probably do this would be Kuzan and then Ice Age so we can get the double draw. But it looks like I put the Ice Age back first on top. That might be a little misplay later in the game if we ever get there. But we're just going to go ahead and hit 7K to face with the Perona. We're going to counter out with Tashiki and Sabo. And excellent work and great defense by Kono. He does have that Absalom back in trash to really utilize the plays if he has the minus costs. Him moving to 7 Dawn is pretty much going to be the same idea. We want to prep for that Gecko Moria turn. And we want to really start pushing for board control as we enter the mid game here in our matchup. We're going to have some Perona v Perona action here. And what it's going to come down to is we countered out with the Rebecca. So we're going to save the Perona at least from this one swing. Kono's got to piece together his game plan and strategy here. Otherwise, this board presence is going to start taking over. And that's something that we don't want to see in this Gecko Moria mirror match. Not only is trash management a very vital part of the deck, but also board management from your opponent's side, just to make sure that you can prepare yourself before getting swept out. We're going to send what looks like 6K to Perona, or even 5K. And we're just going to let the Perona go at this point. And I feel it's a very fair trade. We ended up using a ton of resources to basically get Perona and a 1 cost out of our hand. Don't mind me just trying to flip my cards all fancy like. You know, Kono teaches you very, very well to do it, but he just casually does it. I don't know how he does it so effortlessly, but don't worry, your boy's going to get there. He's going to be a real TCG player. He's going to swing 7 to face, using Gecko skill to get Absalom, to KO the Sindri, putting an Ice Age and something else back. But overall, very great board management from Kono here. He now has more bodies on board. He has more threats to pose for Gecko Moria. But we are now on our 8 Dawn turn, and this changes the game 100%. Without this 8 Dawn turn, this board is very, very scary. But we are going to start with a quick poke, 5K into the Perona with 3 cards in hand. It may get a 1K, or we may just end up letting it go, because the 1Ks are going to be valuable just as much as the 2Ks in this certain situation as we get later on into the game when geckos are swinging into geckos. But it looks like Kono is thinking about it quite a bit here. Not sure if he wants to really implement a game plan. He's going to let the Perona go in this case. Excellent. He already knows what's coming because we just swing 5K to leader and see what we can pull off of it. He's going to end up taking that life. No trigger, goes to 4 cards in hand, slamming all 8 Dawn down for that Gecko Moria character. I'm getting ready for the inevitable triggers. We're going to play Rob Lucci and Helmeppo off of that Gecko Moria grab. We're going to put back a Rebecca, a Borsalino, and another Borsalino. So we're sending all 3 blockers back into the deck to utilize later on, and passing the turn back, a successful clear from your boy Cozy, trying to make sure we maintain as much pressure as possible as we start digging into the later parts of the game. We're reaching the end of the mid game and getting closer and closer to that end game goal of having as many bodies as possible and swinging high and wide. But now with Kono 5 cards in hand, he can make a lot of efforts to play. He is on 9 Dawn this turn. So if he has the Gecko Moria, he can use a cost reducer like a Great Eruption, Hot Patch, uh, or Ice Age into a Gecko Moria to really start knocking down some of these bigger threats like our Gecko Moria on board right now or the Rob Lucci, both which are very scary to have on board at the moment. And we want to do our best to maintain them if we can. Gonna go 1 Dawn, Hot Patch the Lucci, bringing it down to a 1 cost, meaning the Lucci and the Helmeppo are susceptible to like a Rob Lucci play, or even Absalom can KO just the Lucci and go from there. So it is just dependent on what we want to do on the side of Kono here. Trying to piece together some plans here. He's going 7 into the Hogback using the leader skill to trash an Absalom in hand for Suru Borsellino to cheat it into play and KO that Rob Lucci, sending back a Hot Patch and something else it looks like to the bottom of the deck here. We're going to rearrange ourselves here. He's going to play the Borsellino blocker as the other 4 Dawn he wants to use. Passes the turn back over to us, so that way he has a little bit of security knowing he has the Borsellino blocker that cannot be KO'd by effects and has another 5k body on board that cannot be swung into and can only be KO'd at this point. Moving to the 10 Dawn turn. Now we're starting to get in towards the end of the mid game here and trying to figure out, okay, what do we need to do to, one, try and get either board advantage, life advantage, or in our case, hand advantage as well. Even though we have hand advantage with a huge hand compared to Kono's 2, we want to really utilize the Dawn that we do have available, especially if we don't have like another Gecko Moria to play that can deal with that Absalom. And as well as going as tall as possible to incentivize Kono using that Borsellino blocker now rather than later. Using the Hina to -3 on the Absalom to put it down to a 1 cost. Still playing with 7 Dawn. Not sure what the line of play would be here other than going with leader skill, 6 to lead. Crashing a card for Ice Age and Great Eruption. And digging for an Absalom to KO the Absalom. Sending back the Great Eruption and Ice Age. Kono countering with a 2k Suru, so that way he does not take the additional life. It looks like he is down to 1 card in hand. We're going to swing with the Helm Eppo. Looks like a 6k. He is going to trash that card as a block. Takes the next life to put him back to 1 card. The draw puts him to 2. And now we're kind of wondering what is the game plan here on Kono's side. He's now behind on life, not by much. So it's not a huge detriment at the moment. But he only has 1 Borsellino blocker on board and 1 Gecko Moria leader to play with. He's going to use 1 Dawn to send that Sindri out. He's going to get a couple of targets and a Helmeppo. Looked like a Hogback and an Absalom got sent to trash off the Sindri play. So that still leaves us with 9 Dawn to play with on the Kono side. But what exactly is the game plan and the strategy here? He's got 1 card in hand. It could be a Gecko Moria idea, but the risk to it is he doesn't have any cost reducers to really get rid of our Gecko Moria, and he can really only target either the Hina or the Helmeppo in this case if he does go for a Gecko play. And he's going to slam a Gecko Moria down. So let's see kind of what the game plan on his strategy is going to be as we get into the decision-making process. So he could grab a reducer and probably a Lucci or an Absalom. He grabs the Helmeppo. He's grabbing the Lucci, digging through his trash like a raccoon, Trying to find something else that may be useful here in this case. Doesn't look like he finds anything. So he's going to grab the Absalom and the Helmeppo. The Helmeppo is going to trigger and put his minus effect on something. Kono's going to dig through our trash now, really playing into the role of a raccoon here, just digging through the trash to make sure there's nothing scary that we can just bring out on board. He's going to pick on the Absalom, and using the Absalom effect to KO Cozy's Absalom here is just a huge cardboard on cardboard crime, sending 2 back to the bottom of the deck, still maintaining a 3-2 life. He's going to swing 5k into Leppo. We're going to let it go here. And just like that, Kono has swung the board presence into his favor. And that is something that we absolutely need to be terrified of, especially with that Borsellino blocker. So if we were to go tall and try to KO or manage the board in some other way, he still has the Borsellino blocker at a 6k right now. That is really, really putting in the work, especially because it cannot be KO'd by card effects, which makes it so strong in this Gecko Moria mirror match. So back to 10 Dawn. What is the game plan here? We're going to play 5, and we're going to play our Sabo blocker. So now we also have a blocker on board to protect us, and the Sabo effect is going to kick in, draw 2, trash 2, and our characters cannot be KO'd by card effect. So if there is another play here, then we're in the green now. The other option is Kono has no cards in hand, and we could have just swung tall, incentivizing that Borsellino blocker, but he is going to have a ton of resources to use for the crackback to pretty much win the game at that point, with Gecko, Absalom, Helmeppo, and the leader to swing in. So we're going 6 into Helmeppo. He's just going to go ahead and let it go as well. We're going to use the leader skill for Absalom to Shigi. And we are going to grab the Absalom to KO the Sindri, most likely, because we have no reducer. And he's going to let the Helmeppo go. So now we're back to 4 bodies compared to 3. Giving up the little dabs to the people in the community at People's Card Shop. Again, a huge shout out to them. Greatly appreciate all the work they do. Super cool staff and super friendly overall. We're going to swing 6k with Hina into life. It's going to look like making the decision here. Not a hard option. It's either no swing or swing. And yep, we're going to go 6k into leader. Kono has to take it, and it's not going to be a trigger. And that gives us the green light just to swing another Gecko play. Incentivizing to use the Borsellino. Is he going to use it? And he's still thinking about it. It wouldn't be a bad play if he uses it. And he's going to use the Borsellino blocker, saving himself 1 life. To R3, this is going to be a dangerous situation now for Kono as we get closer to that inevitable end game, which I would probably say we are in the end phases for us on the Cozy game side of things, only because now we need to worry about pushing for the end to really set ourselves up. He's going to swing 11 into the Gecko Moria. We're just going to let it go. We're going to incentivize holding on to the Sabo blocker for now, at least, just because it cannot be KO'd at the moment. And so we want to hold on to this effect for just as long as we possibly can. Really incentivize Kono to try to swing higher and really deal with the Hina or start taking life from us. Kono doing the traditional cost math of any Gecko Moria or even a Sakazuki player, trying to figure out what is the best line here to play for. Not entirely sure. He's going to grab 8k and swing 8 into our leader, trashing the Lucci with Ice Age Absalom. He's going to grab a hog back here and see what he grabs off of this. 1 card in hand. Looks like he's just going to kind of filter for what he wants first. He's going to send Ice Age and probably a hog back, it looked like, to the bottom of the deck. And grabs a Thriller Bark character, which is going to be the Sindri for a 2K counter. 2 cards in hand for Kono. Still 2 Dawn to play with. He only has 1 more swing. And he's going to send it to life. We're going to take it here because we have the advantage. No trigger off of life. And now it is a 1 life to 1 life situation here for the Gecko Morias. With Kono having 2 cards in hand, the most optimal line of play is just to go tall. With 2 cards in hand, most likely he has is 4K encounter, which means we need to swing like 10 to get a guaranteed hit, or we can start swinging 7s and get it that way as well as we push to victory. The Gecko skill is no longer going to be a requirement for us here. We're going to go 7K into leader. No skill activated because we need all of that Dawn for usefulness. Kono's going to take it. And it's an Ice Age trigger, getting rid of the Hina. That still leaves Absalom to have everything up. And GG's coming in from Kono. He knows it's over with the Absalom swing coming in. And we had the counter to hold out for it. But that is going to be a victory for Cozy Games and the Gecko Moria mirror match. If you enjoyed this video, let me know with a like, and I will catch you in the next one. Peace and love, y'all.